Welcome to Press Watch. I'm Ariana Esfahani. Press Watch is a production of the Mass Communications Department at Oklahoma City University. Here on Press Watch, we take a look at national news media coverage in light of ethical guidelines set for journalists by journalists. Today we will be looking at intimacy in journalism. Are journalists going too far to establish a relationship with their audience by exposing their personal lives and beliefs on air? Also, how does this translate to social media? Do certain tweets or other online posts affect credibility? Joining us today are Emily Ousley and Maddie Alexander, Senior Mass Communications at Oklahoma City University. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Our first topic will be over journalists inviting public into their personal lives on air. In these clips, we will see two examples where private, intimate moments of the journalists' lives have been included in the station's broadcasts. Let's take a look.
How did this Huntsville, Alabama news anchor find out she was getting married? She heard herself deliver the news.
And we do have some breaking news to report to you. Fox 54 has just learned that a Huntsville news anchor is being proposed on live TV right now.
And Vince Ramos dropped down on one knee.
Will you marry me?
Yeah.
I've been off for a little bit. I've been busy cooking a couple of babies, triplets, and they're here, right? You good boys? They've been perfect. They eat well. They sleep well, right?
So after seeing these videos, what do you think?
Well, it's just, I see both sides of it. I see the side where you want to show your personal life to the people, and then I see the other side where, you know, it's still a job and you still have to remain professional. And if you were in another job capacity, would you be going around showing everybody you don't know pictures of your babies? Probably not. So I see both sides of it, but definitely not a fan of showing too much personal life on TV.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you know, it's one thing for an anchor or a reporter to want to have some sort of a personal connection to your viewers or your audience, but it's another thing to, you know, have such an intimate moment in your life, like a proposal, be broadcast to thousands of people, and then, you know, when you're showing your 3 children on the air, and you know you're, you know, telling people who you are and that you have 3 newborn babies. That could also, you know, potentially be dangerous depending on what market you're in or, you know, where you are. And I think it's inappropriate, and it's also kind of a dangerous decision, you know, depending on where she's located.
Absolutely. We have a code here from SPJ that says journalists should be free of obligation to any interest other than the public's right to know. So with that code, kind of, what do you think is appropriate to tell your audience? What do you think is their right to know about you?
I don't think it's the public's right to know that you just had triplets or you know, just got proposed to. It's one thing to maybe mention that, you know, to mention, oh, congratulations, you just got engaged, or congratulations on your, you know, newborn children, but to have an entire segment, an entire package dedicated to that is not really news. And then on the other hand, what could have been, you know, shown to your audience in place of that. There's so many important things that happen locally and nationally and even internationally that people need to know about or should know about, and you know, with that minute and a half dedicated to your personal life, you're missing out on some information. So
yeah, that's what I was going to say, is people don't tune in to watch you be proposed to or see your babies. They tune in to find out what's going on in their area and get the news. So
absolutely. Well, there's like knowing their stations let them do this, how does that affect their credibility overall?
I think it hinders their credibility. I think, like I said, they're tuning in to watch news. They're not tuning in to see your personal story on the TV. So I think it hinders the credibility of the station a lot, actually.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's up to every news director and producer to determine what has news value and what's considered, you know, the most important. And when you dedicate that much time to people's personal lives, it kind of throws off your priorities as you know, a station that's considered news. So I don't think it's really smart of them, you know, to have their personal lives displayed, or for the company to be okay with dedicating that much time to a reporter's personal life.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. After the break, we'll be looking at the role social media takes in revealing the private lives of journalists. Stay tuned. We'll be back with Press Watch in just a moment.
There are plenty of teams in every sport that have great players and never win titles. Most of the time, those players aren't willing to sacrifice for the greater good of the team. One thing I believe to the fullest is that if you think and achieve as a team, the individual accolades will take care of themselves. Talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships.
Meet Sarah Jane. She got her vision checked at school by Prevent Blindness Oklahoma. Prevent Blindness Oklahoma provides free vision screenings to children in all 77 counties in the state. Without this free screening, Sarah Jane's parents wouldn't know about her congenital cataracts. Because of Prevent Blindness Oklahoma and their screening, Sarah Jane will be seeing clear for years to come. Preserving sight, preventing blindness, making every child's vision count.
Get in the game.
OCU is smart, fun, cute, driven, so busy, expressive, exciting. But you know this, you go here. OCU is my school.
Host Ariana Esfahani. Joining us is Emily Ousley as well as Maddie Alexander. Before the break, we discussed the exposure of journalists' private lives during their broadcasts. But what about social media? Although social networking sites such as Facebook, Twitter, and blog sites can be great news-sharing tools for journalists, has social media blurred the lines between what's professional and what's personal? We have a few examples, so let's take a look.
Pausing midway for a live report, but it was her after-hours foray into social media, her personal blog, that's now making national headlines.
Confessions of a red-headed reporter.
Among her disclosures, she's napped in a news car, gone braless during a live report, is frightened of old people, refuses to do stories involving them, and her best sources are those who have a crush on her.
Well, I was thinking that I was being snarky and funny. I certainly didn't think it would come to this.
Her bosses weren't laughing. Allen says she was fired 3 days later. The station told NBC News it couldn't comment on personnel matters.
I know it sounds cliche, but I'm in this business to make a difference, and my ability to do so has been taken away.
Experts say social media is a smart tool for journalists, but can blur lines between the personal and professional.
She makes me kind of angry.
All right. Elaborate on that. Why? Why does this upset you?
It's just, this is not professional at all. Everything she wrote on that blog was completely inappropriate in every way. Whenever you choose to do this job, you're choosing to be in the public light, and you have to act appropriately, or you're going to get fired from your job. I mean, that's ultimately what it comes down to, is you choose to be out in the public eye, so act the right way.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to social media and journalists, most journalists use them as their professional presence. So, they use Twitter and Facebook and have professional accounts. So when you say, well, oh, this is on my personal blog, and you're blogging about your job and things you do on the job, especially when you say things like, I'm afraid of old people, I refuse to do stories involving them, or I've gone braless on the air, things, or even I've napped in a news car. Like, you don't admit publicly to sleeping on the job, whoever you are, and
You don't do that with any job.
Right. I mean, and that's just too much information for anyone, especially a reporter, especially someone who makes a living being in the public eye. So, when you embarrass your station, embarrass yourself, you're going to get fired. And there's really no, coming back from that when you've revealed information that's incredibly inappropriate.
There's just several other ways for her to be making a difference instead of posting a blog about all these things that I've done that, are secrets. No, like, go do some charity work or something, not that.
Absolutely. And we also have a code from RTDNA that says that as journalists, we should avoid posting photos or any other content on website, blog, social network, or video photo sharing websites that may embarrass you or undermine your journalistic credibility. So it's safe to say that
Absolutely.
you both believe that it would undermine your journalistic credibility saying something like, I've napped in a car,
Yeah.
I've gone braless.
Well, I just think there's a right way to go about it. I know lots of people who are on TV that have a social media presence, but they're appropriate, and you have a Facebook page rather than making everybody your friend on Facebook. There's just a right way to go about it, and she did not go about it the right way at all.
I mean, and when you talk about, journalistic credibility, most reporters, whether you're TV or print, have a clause in their contract that will say something along the lines of, what you do on social media in your private life still reflects upon the station, because there's really no private life when it comes to the internet. Everything you tweet, everything you post on Facebook is eventually going to end up in your mom's hands or your employer's hands, or, there's no hiding anything on the internet. So, when they fire someone for things that they've posted on their personal page that make the station look bad, make the reporter look bad, I'm not shocked that they fired her at all.
It's also incredibly difficult to have a private life when you choose this profession. So anytime you have the opportunity to remain private, why wouldn't you do it?
Absolutely. Well, thank you, ladies. After the break, we will have Bravos and Blunders, a recurring segment here on Press Watch, where we take a look at what went wrong in the news, or maybe what went right. We'll be right back.
You need to leave.
Starcy's a great mascot. He's very enthusiastic. Sometimes his animal instinct takes over, though.
Watch Emily Alsey on the 4 Points on Channel 22 and MediaOCU.com.
Welcome back to Press Watch. I'm your host, Ariana Esfahani. It's time for Bravos and Blunders, our recurring segment here on Press Watch, where we take a look at what went wrong in the media, or maybe what went right. Thank you both, Emily and Maddie, for staying with us. Let's take a look at our Bravos and Blunders. First up, our Bravo goes to CBS for this public apology.
Lara, good morning. Good morning, Nora. Well, you know, the most important thing to every person at 60 Minutes is the truth. And today the truth is that we made a mistake. And that's very disappointing for any journalist. It's very disappointing for me. And he said that he told the FBI the same story that he had told us. But what we now know is that he told the FBI a different story to what he told us. And, you know, that was the moment for us when we realized that we no longer had confidence in our source and that we were wrong to put him on air. And we apologize to our viewers.
A public apology like this, do you think that that was a good move, you know, for the station?
Yeah, I mean, you know, in a case like, you know, when CBS is apologizing for their report on Benghazi, the whole Benghazi thing was a huge deal, and they based a lot of their reporting off of one man's testimony. And when he gave a statement to the FBI saying he wasn't actually there, they dug that up and found it and apologized to their viewers, which I think was the responsible thing to do. I think the New York Times also pulled his book and, you know, corrected that. And because when you're basing information off of something that's obviously false and is obviously you've been lied to, it's your duty, it's your journalistic duty to correct it to the public. I mean, you know, that's what you're supposed to do.
Absolutely. So it's a bravo to y'all as well.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
Okay, well, now for our blunder. Time magazine puts Chris Christie on the cover with the headline, "The Elephant in the Room." We have a graphic for that. If you saw something like that, you initially would laugh, but that's not, you know, good journalistic behavior to poke fun kind of at someone. So.
No, I mean, you know, you see Chris Christie in interviews saying, you know, oh, you know, jokes have been made about my weight constantly. It doesn't affect me anymore. But when you're a news outlet like Time, it's no different than, say, you know, the New York Times making a joke about Chris Christie's weight. It's not about his politics. It's not about his position on anything. It's about his weight, and that's kind of irrelevant to whether or not he would make a good governor or make a good president. And it's really inappropriate, and it's kind of stooping a little low.
Absolutely. How do you think that will affect their readership, if at all?
You know, I don't think it'll affect their readership particularly.
Unfortunately not.
Someone might, you know, find it offensive or find it inappropriate, but and it is inappropriate, and it's, you know, but people aren't gonna be outraged at it because it has been done multiple times. You see Chris Christie, you know, get made fun of constantly for his weight, and, you know, even if he says, you know, I'm okay with it, it doesn't matter to me, it's still inappropriate for a legitimate news outlet to make fun of something like that.
Absolutely. Just kind of, you know, being disrespectful to anyone, but especially it being their weight or something so irrelevant to the stance that they take. I absolutely agree. Thank you both so much for being here today. That's all the time we have for Press Watch. Press Watch is a production of the Mass Communications Department at Oklahoma City University. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.